So today in your video, we're going to go over a worksheet that's going to help us out with our time signatures. And we're going to go over all of our different time signatures that have a 4 on the bottom here and talk about what that means and work out some puzzles together. And there's a copy of this in your folder as well so that you can print it out and do this with me. So if you haven't printed it out yet, you should print it out and get a pencil so we can do it together. We'll work through it together. Okay, so for each puzzle, we have to figure out some different things. So this first one's in 4/4 time, which means I need 4 beats in a measure. Okay, now every single one of these is going to have a 4 on the bottom. We're not going to worry about that right now. So fitting 4 beats in a measure, a quarter note is 1. So it says add 1 note and 2 rests. So I'm going to add 1 note and rests. Okay, so what we had to do is make it all add up to 4, and each one of these equals 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, there's 4. Okay, next one it says add a bar line. Now this is in 3/4 time. So the bar line is that line we draw in between our measures. So we have to count where does it separate in 3. Okay, so this is a dotted half note, and if we remember, that gets 3 beats. 1, 2, 3. So there's my bar line. And then if we just want to double check, we have 1, 2, 3. So that adds up. It says complete the time signature. And it's a little hard to see, but there is a bar line here. Okay, so how many beats are in each measure? How many beats are in this measure and how many beats are in this measure? And that's the number we're going to put here. So count them up. How many beats does a half note get? Or you can think 1 plus 1. So our answer is 2. So we're in 2/4 time. Okay, this is a little bit trickier. We haven't really gone over that in your book yet. So we're going to skip number 4 for now, and if we have time, we'll come back to it. So for number 5, this worksheet is actually from England, and they use different words than we do for some of their notes. So this says add 6 quavers. We're going to ignore that. Okay, because we don't use that word quavers here. So we're just going to add however many different kinds of notes we want for this to equal 4. So you could have some different choices here. I have 1 beat right now, so I'm going to think what's 4 minus 1? And I'm left over with 3. So I could use a note that equals 3 beats, which would be the dotted half note. I could use 3 different quarter notes, or I could use some quarter rests, or I could use something that equals 2 and then add the 1. So there's lots of different choices. To make it really nice and easy, I'm going to use a dotted half note. Okay, again, we're gonna ignore this because we haven't learned those types of notes yet. So let's move on to the next one, number 7. So it says choose the time signature. This little C here, that's the exact same thing as 4/4 time. So you can ignore that C if you want, or if you want to remember that's what that C means. It's kind of some extra stuff that'll come up later in our book. So is it 4/4, 3/4, 2/4? How many beats are in the measure? So let's count. I have a quarter note, that's 1. I have a quarter rest, that's 1. And a half note is 2. So all together I have 4. So here we're going to write 4/4 time. Okay. Number 8. It says a whole bar of silence, add a rest. So we need rests to make it add up to 2. So there is a type of rest that equals 2. We haven't really learned that one yet. So if you want, you could just write 2 quarter rests, which we have learned. Or if you feel like learning a little bit extra, your other choice, I'm going to add another bar here so I can show you the half rest, which just looks like a little hat that sits on the line. So those would equal the same thing. So this we've learned in our book, this we haven't. Okay, again, we're going to ignore that because we haven't learned those yet. Moving on to number 10, sorry, I'm looking at 4/4, but it's number 10. It's 4/4 time. Again, we're going to ignore this instruction at the bottom. And there's some stuff we haven't learned on here yet, but we can make it work, that's okay. So for 4/4 time, we're going to do a little subtraction. I'm supposed to have 4. Right now I have a half note. If you remember, a half note gets 2 beats. So that means I have 2 left. So it's kind of like this one. I have some options. I could draw another half note, that would equal 2. Or I could draw some quarter notes. I could draw some rests. There's lots of different choices. So you decide what you're going to put there. I'm going to put the easy one, half note. Okay? And again, ignoring the instruction down here, 3/4 time. You can do whatever you want to make it add up to 3. So let's make it a little bit different this time. We'll do 1, 2, 3. Okay, and very last one, number 12. This one we can follow the instruction at the bottom because we know all of the stuff we need to do that. It's 3/4 time. It says complete this bar with just one note. So we're looking for what kind of a note equals 3 beats. And we've drawn that already and seen it on here somewhere before. So if you can remember, that one is a dotted half note. Okay, so the ones that we were skipping, you don't have to do number 4 or number 6. Or number 9, but you can go through all the rest of those and hopefully those all make sense. And you can have different answers than what I've written down. That's the important thing to remember. I've only shown you some of the answers that you can have, but there are lots of different ways that you could have answered all of these different questions.